Deposit money banks have begun to ratio the disbursement of old 1,000 naira notes and 500 naira notes to their customers amid uncertainty over whether the Central Bank of Nigeria will release the old notes in its custody. Now, over the next half an hour, we will be looking beyond the business headlines by giving you in-depth perspective on the stories that are affecting all of us, from naira crisis, exchange rates, and so on. Well, hello and welcome to Business This Week on Viewer Television. My name is Jay Malik. Well, before we dive deep into today's business, let's go on a quick break, and when we return, Business This Week continues. So stay tuned. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Business This Week on Viewer Television. Well, coming up on today's show is currency redesign, naira crisis, exchange rate, and then we'll look at another exchange rate on the international sector, and then moving over to Nigerian economy, and then we'll also take a look at the AUKUS deal, and then pensions reform, aviation industry, electricity generation, and then NBS reports, and then move over to new appointments, and then NIN verification and hacker leaks 4.0. Well, let's begin with naira crisis. Well, we all know that deposit money banks have begun to ratio the disbursement of old 1,000 naira and 500 naira notes to their customers amid uncertainty over whether the Central Bank of Nigeria will release the old notes in its custody. Well, this came about 24 hours after the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele announced that old 1,000 naira, 500 naira and 200 naira note remained legal tender. But despite the CBN's statement on Monday night, the Nigerian Labour Congress on Tuesday insisted on the 7-day ultimatum it gave the federal government to end the cash crunch. Well, the Apex Bank's position came on the heels of several weeks of confusion over the legal status of the old currencies amid a series of Supreme Court judgments and disputes between some state government and the federal government. Well, and on currency redesign, the widespread rejection of the 500 naira and 1,000 naira melted as banks and Nigerians began to accept the notes in compliance with the directive of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Well, the CBN had directed banks to comply with the Supreme Court ruling that the old note remained legal tender alongside the redesigned notes till December 31st, 2022. Now, and consequently, banks began to accept the old 500 naira and 1,000 naira notes from customers with a requesting for the CBN cash return reference code. Survey also showed increasing acceptance of the old notes among Nigerians, while rejection persisted in some segments, especially among transporters. A bank staff member who spoke in confidence said that the banks were yet to be given the old notes by the CBN as at the time of filing this report. Now, people are now accepting old notes. Well, I thank the government for considering the masses, as people and businesses have suffered from the crisis. Now, though people are still used to paying for their goods through transfers, I think with time they will embrace accepting the old note. The federal government has done well in accepting the ruling of the Supreme Court. Well, let's take a look at exchange rate and how the naira gained further as it exchanged at 461 naira to the dollar at the investors and exporters window. Well, the rate represented an increase of 0.05% compared to 461.25 naira for which it exchanged to the dollar on Wednesday. The open indicative rate closed at 461.25 naira to the dollar on Thursday. Well, an exchange rate of 462.11 to the dollar was the highest rate recorded within the day's trading before it settled at 461 naira. Well, still on the exchange rate sector, Lebanon's currency also has hit a record low to the dollar, with a record low to the dollar with 100,000 pounds, the value of the country's largest banknote, now worth only $1. Well, the new rates, which became a reality on Tuesday, had been expected in recent weeks as the value of the local currency continued to plummet almost unabated. Well, before the country's economic crisis, £100,000 was worth $67. Now, however, it will now take £10 million or 100 of the country's largest banknotes to buy $100, throwing into question the need for smaller denominations such as the 1,000 and 5,000 notes. Coins have largely become obsolete due to the currency crisis, with 500 and 250 pound coins turned into jewelry and other souvenirs. Well, let's take a look at the video displaying on our screens. Well, as you can see, the lira has become completely worthless. Now, let's take a look at Nigerian's economy and how the Nigerian economy is grinding to a halt and has lost about 20 trillion naira following the over 70% mop-up of cash by the federal government through the Central Bank of Nigeria. Well, that report is coming from an economic think tank, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise. Now, it said the protracted acute cash scarcity had not only crippled economic activities across the country, but has now a major risk to the livelihoods of most Nigerians, calling for an urgent intervention by President Muhammadu Buhari. He stressed that Nigerians have not been traumatized in recent history. The economy is gradually grinding to a halt because of the collapse of payment systems across all platforms. Digital platforms are performing suboptimally because of congestion. Physical cash is unavailable because the CBN has sucked away over 70% of cash in the economy, and the expected relief from the Supreme Court judgment has not materialized. Well, an AUKUS deal. Australia will buy as many as 5 US nuclear-powered submarines, then build a new model with US and British technology under an ambitious plan to back up Western muscle across the Asian Pacific in the face of a rising China. Now, the announcement came Monday at an event at a San Diego naval base with US President Joe Biden, Australian Prime Minister Anthony, and British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Under the AUKUS Pact, Australia is to get its first nuclear-powered subs, at least 3 from the US. Forging the new partnership, they are showing again how democracies can deliver their own security and prosperity, not just for them but for the entire world. But Mr. Sunak is saying Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine, China's growing assertiveness, the destabilizing behavior of Iran and North Korea all threaten to create a world co-defined by danger, disorder, and diversion. Let's take a look at what Braden has to say.
AUKUS has one overriding objective: to enhance the stability of the Indo-Pacific amid rapidly shifting global dynamics. This first project is only beginning.
You're still watching Business This Week on Viewer Television, but let's go on a quick break, and when we return, Business This Week continues, so stay tuned.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm at the Envoy Hotel, Diplomatic Drive 305, here for a business weekend. It's been an amazing stay. Conference hall and business facilities here are stylish and innovative. The Envoy Hotel is luxury, esoteric, opulence, for ultimate comfort.
Discerning travelers, we are more than just a place to stay. We are an icon of comfort, style, and thoughtful luxury. We are Envoy Hotel.
Two souls came together. Came together. Two souls came together. There I might know.
Tat Fragrance, the new luxury fragrance for men and women.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Business This Week on Viewer Television. Now let's take a look at pensions reform and how more than 1 million people marched as strikes disrupted transport and schools in France during protests against President Emmanuel Macron's plans to push back the retirement age to 64. Now police urged jaggers in Paris. In Paris and minor clashes also took place in the western city of Nantes, but the more than 260 union-organized rallies across the country were mostly peaceful. Now, France Senate voted late Saturday to improve a deeply unpopular reform to the country's pension system. Well, moving over to aviation industry, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has begun an investigation into the alleged maltreatment of over Nigerian-bound passengers by German carrier Lufthansa Airlines. The General Manager Public Affairs NCAA Sam, who made the disclosure in Lagos, said the agency had got a report of the alleged maltreatment of over 200 Nigerian-bound passengers. Now, Frankfurt Lagos flights meant to arrive at Murtala Mohammed International Airport at 5:45 p.m. last Friday, later arrived at 2 a.m. after diverting to Cotonou in Republic of Benin and Malabo, Equatorial Guinea. Now, the aircraft had hovered over Lagos Airport for 1 hour before leaving for Cotonou. On arriving in Lagos at 2 a.m., the passengers asked the airline to make arrangements for the stay, but the carrier reportedly threatened to call police on them. Now, there were also reports the Lagos Airport was not closed, contrary to the claim by the Lufthansa pilots. Well, power generation on the national grid has continued to hover above 4,000 megawatts since January this year, following the deployment of transformers, substations, and other accessories to boost supply. Well, grid performance data obtained from the Federal Ministry of Power in Abuja showed that electricity generation on the national grid is at 6 a.m. on the same day was 4,456.8 megawatts. On the preceding day, it was 4,618.8 megawatts and 4,002 megawatts of peak generation, according to figures obtained by Newsman, the Power Ministry's headquarters. An analysis of randomly picked figures from the grid performance data indicated that power generation had stayed above the 4,000 megawatts mark for months. While the country had yet to record any total grid collapse this year, unlike what happened in 2022. And then moving over to NBS report, Nigerians spent at least 2.4 trillion naira to import raw materials from other countries in 2022. This is according to data collected from Foreign Trade Statistics of the National Bureau of Statistics. Now, the data also showed that Nigeria exported raw materials to the tune of 1 trillion naira, leaving a deficit of 1.4 trillion during the period under review. According to Investopedia, raw materials are substance or items used in the primary production of manufacturing of goods. Statistical all reported that raw materials imported into Nigeria amounted to over 1.9 trillion naira in 2021, amounting to about $4.6 billion. Well, the board of Dangote Sugar Refinery PLC has appointed Yabawa Lawani Wabi as an independent non-executive director. This is according to a corporate notice signed by the company secretary, Tabi Tope Hassan. The appointment was approved by the board at its meeting held on February 28, 2023. Now, Wabi has experience in the public sector, having served as permanent secretary in various ministries and as director of finance and accounts at the Ministry of Works and Housing, Borno State, and as Accountant General of Borno State. Now, Wabi is a graduate of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and a fellow of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria. Well, we have no doubt that she will bring with her the rich experience she has garnered in finance and a high degree of objectivity of the board for sustaining stakeholder trust and confidence. Well, Nigerians applying for passports will be charged 1,000 naira in Nigeria for the verification of their national identification number. Now, the National Identity Management Commission disclosed this in a statement signed by its head corporate communications, Kayode Adegoke. Now, according to the Commission, the fee is to improve the quality of service, accuracy, and speed of passport service through timely verification of name. Nigerians will pay 1,000 naira for name verification in Nigeria, $5 in other African countries, and $15 in other countries. Well, the Wema Bank PLC has opened application entries for the 4th edition of Hackaholics 4.0, its tech talent discovery and nurturing projects among university students. Well, Executive Director, Digital Service, Wema Bank Tunde, announced the commencement of entries for Hackaholics 4.0 at a press conference in Lagos State, saying just as the bank is innovating, it is also helping individuals and organizations to innovate to make the country better. This says Hackaholics, which is focusing on building finance beyond technology, we will looking for entries with innovative solutions on how to solve gender violence, promote entertainment, among others. Well, Mabawonku said the bank through the project would be engaging 10,000 tech entrepreneurs, producing 5,000 solutions, creating 6 pitch centers, and having almost 1 million footfalls during the course of campaign. Well, that's all I have time for today. I'll see you at the same time next week for more in-depth business stories on Business This Week. So have a lovely day. Bye for now.